Vegetables and bread are for eating, not expressing disapproval. That's just one of many reasons why these famous musicians decided that they couldn't take it anymore as they stormed off stage. The Doors frontman Jim Morrison owned every stage he ever set foot on, but he wasn't just a simple showman. His performances were always opportunities to experiment. As he once said, "I am interested in anything about revolt, disorder, chaos, especially activity that seems to have no meaning. It seems to me to be the road toward freedom." Morrison wanted his listeners to shatter boundaries and inhibitions, but he broke a boundary in a different way in New Orleans on December 12, 1970, the night of his final live performance with the Doors. He technically didn't storm off the stage. Instead, he stormed through it. As Doors keyboardist Ray Manzarek described it, Morrison's spirit exited his body as he reportedly smashed a hole in the stage with his mic stand before walking off stage. Then he just sat down on stage and didn't get up. This all happened less than a year before Morrison's untimely death at the age of 27 in July 1971. Madonna is no stranger to blowing up, whether that's with a hit single or a profanity-laden rant. Some of her most notorious moments include her disastrous interview with David Letterman in 1994, or fighting lawsuits from angry fans for starting her concerts hours late. Considering all that, it should come as no surprise that the Queen of Pop has threatened to stop a show on more than one occasion, the most memorable case being in Santiago, Chile in 2012. Madonna was approaching the end of her MDNA tour, which had become one of the highest grossing of all time by the end of that year. But she couldn't help but get hung up before this particular show even began, as she reportedly spotted a group of smokers in the audience during her soundcheck and stopped mid-song. She then said, "No smoking. If you're going to smoke cigarettes, I'm not doing a show. You don't care about me, I don't care about you, all right? Are we going to play that game? I'm not kidding. I can't sing if you smoke." After the group seemingly ignored Madonna's plea, she then stormed off stage. Things didn't exactly improve from there, as the performance began 2 hours late in a torrential downpour, only to eventually end 40 minutes early. Before he decided to stop touring in 2023, Art Garfunkel had maintained some modest success as a legacy act outside of his chart-topping partnership with Paul Simon, but he also faced some serious bumps in the road, most notably an injury that almost caused him to lose his voice. In 2010, he was forced to indefinitely delay an entire summer reunion tour with Simon, as well as several of his own solo shows. 3 years later, he had recovered to the point that he was ready to play small concerts again, which included an acoustic set at the Great Neck Arts Center in Long Island, New York. Dubbed an intimate rehearsal, the show was an invite-only 2-night event that came with a few unexpected moments. As reported by Page Six, a woman was so overtaken by excitement at seeing Garfunkel live that she fainted and was escorted out of the venue by stretcher. As if that weren't enough excitement, Garfunkel then left the stage soon afterwards when someone in the front row struggled to turn off his cell phone after it began buzzing. He apologized shortly afterwards to the singer, who did eventually return to the stage to finish the set a few minutes later. Fort Collins, Colorado is home to the annual Taste of Fort Collins, a 2-day food and music festival that features both local artists and international headliners. In 2015, the musical lineup included Smash Mouth. The event also welcomed Bimbo Bakeries USA, who were giving out free slices of bread to attendees. This reportedly resulted in several of those slices being flung at the stage during Smash Mouth's set during both days of the festival. According to the festival organizer, Smash Mouth frontman Steve Harwell left the stage toward the end of his band's set on the second day and was told that an announcement would be made requesting that people stop throwing bread. However, before they could say anything, Harwell barreled back on stage and began threatening audience members in a 3-minute rant before the show's encore. Things got so intense that he began making his way toward the crowd, ready to pick a fight. After he was restrained by a security guard, his bandmates started playing their final song, All Star, and Harwell eventually calmed down and sang along with the crowd.
I don't see Smash Mouth anywhere!
In 2013, Selena Gomez was fully ready to break free of her Disney origins. Her show Wizards of Waverly Place had just ended, and she cut ties with her band The Scene to go solo. She also released the chart-topping single Come and Get It, as well as her first #1 album, Star Stance. Then, a moment towards the end of the year would fully remove the Disney gloss, though probably not in the way she intended. Gomez was on the bill at that year's Jingle Ball, an annual holiday concert hosted by Kiss FM in Los Angeles. It's a major moment for any artist, so it wasn't exactly surprising when Gomez became visibly upset when her microphone and earpiece were malfunctioning right from the start of her set. Not only did it reveal that she was lip-syncing, but she was also heard angrily dropping an F-bomb. She attempted some self-deprecating humor to appease the audience, many of whom were young fans, and she promised to perform 2 more songs. However, she instead dropped her microphone and walked off stage. Some old wounds were reopened for rock star Courtney Love when a fan held up a picture of her late husband Kurt Cobain during a concert in 2011. As reported by NME, Love was playing with her band Hole at Brazil's Starts With You Music and Arts Festival. After catching a glimpse of the photo, she said, "I don't need to see a picture of Kurt. I have to live with his and his ghost and his kid every day, and throwing that up is stupid and rude, and I'm going to beat the out of you if you do it again." Love then stormed off stage, though she eventually returned after her guitarist convinced the audience to chant "The Foo Fighters are gay." Dave Grohl, the Foo Fighters frontman, was one of Cobain's Nirvana bandmates. Love and Grohl's relationship has been fraught over the years following contentious litigation over their shared ownership of Nirvana's estate. As she explained in an interview following the show, "Dave makes $5 million a show. He doesn't need the money. Don't say you like the Foo Fighters in front of me or I will walk off stage."
We used to really like each other, and then there was 20 years where we sued each other.
As a young heartthrob, Justin Bieber won over legions of fans with songs like Baby and Boyfriend. But he also got himself into a lot of trouble with a series of DUI and assault charges. In the process, he became known as less of a teen idol and more of a bad boy prone to erratic behavior. Then, in 2015, his rebrand into more introspective EDM-influenced music was marred by a blow-up on stage in Oslo, Norway. As reported by Norwegian news agency NTB, Bieber was performing a set that was scheduled to air on Norwegian TV when he handed a bottle of water to an excitable fan in the front row. When she accidentally spilled some of it on the stage, Bieber quickly grabbed a hoodie to wipe it up. Though it's difficult to fully make out from the video that was circulated online, it appears that the fans were trying to grab him or his hoodie. They continued to do so even after Bieber asked them to stop, and then he stormed off stage. Despite the crowd's attempts to send their love with their own rendition of Baby, the singer never returned to the stage. He did, however, apologize on Instagram the next day. It's tough to strike out on your own as a solo artist, and it's even tougher when you've already agreed to get back together with your once-in-a-generation alt-rock band. Just ask Smashing Pumpkins frontman Billy Corgan. After his first Pumpkins offshoot, Zwan, broke up, he was ready to go solo in 2005 with his electronica debut, The Future Embrace. But then he took out full-page ads in both the Chicago Tribune and the Chicago Sun-Times on the album's release day to celebrate his new labor of love by announcing that he intended to return to his original band. Then, 1 month later, at a solo show in Melbourne, Australia, fans heckled Corgan to play some Smashing Pumpkins songs. As reported by Australian outlet Undercover, the crowd was shouting things like "Play some Pumpkins" and "We want rock." Corgan responded by suggesting that they get their money back if they were dissatisfied with his shoegaze stylings. The requests wouldn't stop, though, leading Corgan to drop an F-bomb into the mic and leave the stage. The fans eventually got what they wanted, as the Pumpkins would release their first reunion album 2 years later.
It was nice to kind of get back there and sort of remember where we came from.
It's one thing to take a photo of an artist during a live concert. It's quite another when they offer to take your phone and snap a custom selfie. It's a unique but growing trend in live music that presents incredible risks, but also incredible rewards, which means that entitled fans will reap it for all it's worth. Some artists have even been hit with phones during shows, and one fan really escalated the trend during a Steve Lacy concert in 2022. Lacy was performing in New Orleans when a disposable camera was flung onto the stage. It grazed his chest and then went back into the audience. The entire incident was captured in a video that was posted on social media. Lacy then stopped the concert mid-song, retrieved the camera, and proceeded to destroy it by throwing it to the ground. He then quickly exited the stage, had the culprit kicked out, and returned to complete the set. Despite some criticism that he had acted entitled, Lacy adamantly defended himself in a since-deleted Instagram post, as he insisted, "I don't believe I owe anyone an apology." Towards the end of a June 2016 show in Charleston, South Carolina, Death Cab for Cutie were performing their hit song Soul Meets Body when frontman Ben Gibbard suddenly threw his mic down and stormed off stage. The moment was recorded by a fan and posted to YouTube, and it felt very out of character for a musician as laid back as Gibbard. But the real story was what was happening off stage. As bassist Nick Harmer later explained to Billboard, "It was the last 20 seconds of the last song, and all of Ben's equipment failed at the exact kind of unrelated moment. There was a giant fight in front of us. It's kind of scary, so we stop as a band thinking somebody's hurt or something's happening." In the video, Gibbard can be seen pulling out his earpiece and dropping his guitar in frustration, after which drummer Jason McGurr stops mid-song to point out the commotion in the crowd. All of this culminates in Gibbard lashing out, which was followed by security stepping in to end the fight. The band eventually completed the set with an encore, but the entire moment was still a shock. Harmer also cited anxiety following the Deadly Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando as part of what influenced their decision to stop the show. If you're being pelted with water, hopefully it's because you're on an amusement park ride or sliding down a slip and slide, but it shouldn't happen to someone who's on the bill of the Red Bull Music Academy Tour in Glasgow, Scotland. Alas, that was what happened to rapper Danny Brown in 2015, who was performing an a cappella run when a deluge of water hit him from the crowd. The whole incident was captured on video, though it's unclear whether Brown was hit with a water bottle or a cup of water. Either way, it was enough for him to immediately throw the mic to the ground and leave the stage, never to return, as he reportedly swore that he would never play at Glasgow again after the incident. A lot of people were quick to hate on the culprit, a drunk man in his early or mid-20s who was promptly escorted out of the venue. However, some were also quick to criticize Brown. As one of the concert attendees said to the Glasgow Times, "Danny Brown can rap about drugs and guns, but he can't take a pint of water?" And as another put it on social media, "Danny Brown leaving the show because he gets a drink thrown at him? Mate, that's a Glasgow christening. You're a citizen now."
Sometimes I lose, sometimes I win.
Azealia Banks and the country of Australia don't exactly get along with each other. Their feud began back in 2012 when Banks performed a measly 25-minute set at the Byron Bay-based Splendor in the Grass music festival, as she cited faulty equipment. She was quite apologetic at the time, promising that she'd come back for another go. And sure enough, she did. But it didn't go quite so smoothly. At the 2013 Future Music Festival in Melbourne, Banks started some Twitter beef with British rock band the Stone Roses by claiming that they sabotaged her set. Later that same year, she headlined the Listen Out Festival, where she was hit by a drink 15 minutes into the Sydney leg of her performance. Needless to say, the music ended right then and there. The final straw came when another drink was thrown at Banks, this time a full can of beer, only 90 seconds into her set at Listen Out's Melbourne stint. The entire incident was captured on video, where Banks can be seen throwing her mic and storming off after the item lands on stage. She kind of apologized the next day in a since-deleted post on social media, but she didn't exactly display remorse. As she put it, "The can definitely didn't hit me, and I definitely still got paid. More press, please, and thank you." Banks' wish was granted 2 years later when she finally completed a set at Splendor in the Grass, though she later called Aussie audiences terrible crowds who were violent and belligerent. Fiona Apple once told Rolling Stone, "When I have something to say, I'll say it." That attitude was plenty clear during a Louis Vuitton party in Tokyo in 2013. The event was celebrating the fashion staple's latest exhibition, entitled Timeless Muses. The music there essentially amounted to background noise, but that didn't sit well with Apple, who quickly grew frustrated with the audience's chatter. It probably didn't help that the noise was likely bouncing back and forth against the walls of the night's venue, the glamorous but high-ceilinged Tokyo Station Hotel. Apple reportedly at one point stood atop her piano and asked the audience to quiet down. She then struck a metal bell in an attempt to quiet them further. Other notable moments included hitting her head on her microphone, staring into the eyes of her guitarist, and backbending over the piano bench. None of this worked to shush the partygoers, so the chaos continued when Apple began cursing at the crowd. She angrily exited the stage shortly after, shortening her already compressed set. During a night themed around timeless muses, Apple certainly provided something that everyone there was unlikely to ever forget. Everyone loves deciphering a good mystery, but they don't usually come in the form of a rock concert ending abruptly. In 2012, however, there was a case of Jack White walking off less than an hour into a concert at Radio City Music Hall. There were numerous leads about why he left the stage, including a rowdy fan in the front row, ticket scalpers, and the fact that he reportedly wasn't happy with the sound. White himself at one point implied that it was about the energy of the audience, as he reportedly said, "Jesus Christ, is this an NPR convention?"
I hear it goes down at NPR conventions.
Months later, White told Rolling Stone, "The crowd's in complete control of me. I was just doing what they told me to do." Whatever the reason was, it didn't stop fans from responding in kind. After aimlessly waiting for the show's encore and even starting their own Seven Nation Army sing-along, the crowd mobbed the stage door to confront White. They even scolded him with statements like "Jack White kills puppies," all the while banging on parked cars to get his attention. When a pizza delivery man arrived, fans were even more upset, eventually taking to social media to start the hashtag #JackWhiteDebacle. By the time he played a killer full show the next day, though, most of the outrage had effectively died down. The practice of throwing food in protest dates back centuries, and in 2013, someone was more than happy to keep the tradition going at a Lupe Fiasco concert. The rapper lived up to his last name while performing at Salt Lake City's The Depot, where a fan in the balcony hit him with a tomato. The moment was captured on video that was posted to YouTube. Fiasco stopped the show after he was hit and then announced if there was anyone else like that, then they needed to leave. He then proceeded to nastily insult the supposed culprit. Furthermore, Fiasco requested that the entire balcony be cleared to weed out the perpetrator, and security obliged. However, some rowdy fans in the section didn't want to evacuate. By the time that security had gotten their way, Fiasco had grown impatient and left the stage. It wasn't until the crew began breaking down the equipment that fans took the hint. For a man who got big on claiming that the show goes on, he certainly let this show go off the rails. What makes this story even odder is that, according to management, nothing at the Depot is served with tomatoes, which all begs the question, who exactly was bringing their own tomatoes to a rap concert in 2013?